Good morning and welcome to today's pre-market video. Now in today's pre-market video we are going to take a look at the Sensex Expiry, plus we're going to take a look at the news which will affect the Indian market. Now in the previous days there's not been much news, but today is the only day of the week with days news which has to be discussed. But before we go into the market for today, do take a look at the Nifty video of yesterday. This says it performed exactly as I had said for expiry, but the price points which I had shared on the Nifty and the analysis is highly relevant for today still. Those price points and analysis will not be relevant for next week as the levels will change, but for today's trading session they're still relevant, so you can use them to trade today's session too. Now coming to the news, on the international news front is only one major news, the basically CPI numbers. This is the CPI, US CPI decreased by 0.1% on a month-on-month basis in June, which is better than most analysts expected. Now the CPI decrease, that is good, but we have to look at whether it will affect what the Federal Reserve Chairman thinks. And according to me, today's CPI number has sort of confirmed that the Fed will have to do at least 2 rate cuts this year, because number one, we are coming closer to that 2% inflation target the Federal Reserve had set. Plus, one of the very big positives in the numbers was the shelter costs. This is gasoline prices. Yes, people do pay attention to them, but they are affected by global demand and supply. But the shelter costs rose, but the pace of the increase slowed down significantly, which is a very positive sign and is something the Fed will be watching. So that positive is going to affect the Indian market also, as the RBI governor, even though he does say that his thinking is independent, he will have to rely heavily on also what the American Fed does, as it's simply how the world economy is structured. Now that's it on the international news front. On the local news front, the only news which is going to affect us is what is going to be released today. This is the retail inflation data is expected for the Indian economy today, and most are expecting an increase in June in the inflation numbers due to rising prices of perishable goods. Now most are expecting an inflation number of around 4.8% compared to 4.75% last month. But from what I saw the RBI governor speak yesterday, as he had said that it's too early to discuss rate cuts and all that, but from what I saw, according to me, the inflation number will be around 5%. So we will have to see when the market is open in the market hours how the stock market reacts to an inflation number of 5%. It will be something interesting. So that is it for the news front, and now let's take a look at the Sensex. Now when we look at the Sensex, I haven't had to update any of the price levels that I've given in my video on last Friday for Sensex. This is the Sensex has obeyed the resistance and obeyed the support exactly as we have been in a box in between those levels. So we can already see how well those levels have worked throughout the week, and anyone who kept, let's say, option sales with them will have made a good amount of money. Now coming to today's analysis for the Sensex. Now today's analysis, I'm going to have to mix the option buy and option seller. I'm not going to be able to talk about them independently. This is as where the Sensex is basically. Number one, which is going to affect us today, is the inflation. So the inflation numbers, due to that, I expect in the morning period we'll get quite a good amount. We should get quite a bit of good amount of movement between the basically support at 79,850 and the resistance at 8250 and 8460. So I expect a lot of movement within this zone. So now the real market move, whether we are going to get out of this zone, will come only after the inflation numbers have finished, and let's say 5-10 minutes after that. So we are right now in a 50-50 point, as we are right smack dab in the middle of the box range. So the significant levels still stay the same. 8460 to 8580 is the significant resistance zone, and 79,700 to 79,850 is a significant support. So we will only get a clean move until we break one of these two zones, and between these two zones, any option buyer who wants to trade the Sensex, go to next week's options. Don't use this week's strike, as this zone will just end up hammering you out and causing you a lot of pain in terms of decay. Now while for option sellers, what I would say, before we go to option sellers, now for option buyers, you'll only get a clean move if we break this or we break this. Now, whichever side we decide to start breaking, pay attention to this indicator again. This is until the black line is not able to take off above 245, don't expect this to break in a big way. If the black line of this indicator ends up going above 245 on it, then we'll get a big move from basically here to 5780 and even probably 8780, and if you break that, we can go until 81,080. So that will be a very good move, but it will have to be accompanied by this line getting taken out on the indicator front. On the support front, if we go to break this, then the same, we will have to see the black line get rejected here and then come back below zero. If the black line comes back below zero, then we are going to break the support and we'll go until 79,150 easily, according to me. So tomorrow is tomorrow as I record this the night before, it is a seesaw type of situation, and the whole decision will lie with basically this level on the indicator and this indicator. So this is going to guide whether we're going to get out of this range or not. If we stay within this range in this indicator, then this is not going anywhere. So now for option selling. Option selling comes a bit tricky. So I believe we'll have to sell both sides. In the morning, if you want, or post the RBI meet, if we are hovering around this point still, then I will sell more puts below 79,700, then I will sell calls. If we basically we have not been able to reclaim this, and let's say we are somewhere here, then I'll sell more calls and less puts. But tomorrow I will not go heavy on option sales for only one reason, due to the RBI event, end of week, and the point we have reached in the index is starting to signify we are going to get a one-sided move. So we're going to have to see whether we break 8250 or 79,700, as that will give us the analysis. So a recap, option buy will only get a clean move above 8460 to 8580. That's only when a big move will come, but 8250 breaks, then you make a target of 8460 to 8580, then target to 8780. On the other hand, if the 79,850 to 79,700 support breaks, then it's a short to 79,150 most likely. A 79,400 will be a stopover, but it will not be able to stop the index from having a complete drop due to simply the current market situation. So that's it for today's video. Do subscribe to the channel, as you will end up getting a lot more insights in the coming weeks. Thank you.